Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That is Jack. This is Conrad, and this is the 45. Looking at our week 3 review. Looking at how we fared last week and how we fared so far over weeks 2 and 3. We did not do a preview for week 1. Both tied at 2-1, which leaves me at 4-2, and Jack even 3-3 to start. Not bad.
Not bad at all. I mean, I think that this was a tough weekend to call. There were some upsets that you could have gone for and some that you probably should be more conservative with, but I think in the end it was 2-1 for both of us. It was a pretty good split, all things said and done.
The Chelsea-Norwich match being the one that was the decider, if you will. But starting off with Liverpool-Arsenal, with the home team taking the spoils at Anfield. Here's the summary. Liverpool took the final 20 minutes off. Arsenal looked way better with Lacazette and Torreira on the pitch, and David Luiz looked great for Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, Torreira was a difference maker. He scored the goal, and Lacazette as well. Their front three is just a different animal whenever he's up there with them, and I think when I is still learning the balance of this squad, so I'm not ready to rush into doomsayer mode for Arsenal, but they should probably have started with Torreira and Lacazette on the field.
I don't understand
because
the
they were
tactics.
close to Liverpool in those last 20 minutes.
Well, that was Liverpool got lazy. Let's be clear. I mean, they were not the same team.
100%.
In those the final 10, 15 minutes. But again, it started out with Emery saying, we don't want to play them ever, right? And it showed up, it looked like it, right? This is from at F365, Football 365 saying, yeah, Liverpool are all right, and Arsenal are less than all right. But the key quote here is Arsenal had a plan. It's just a shame it played directly into Liverpool's strengths. And that's absolutely true. That front three was goofy. The defense was, they were way too casual in the back. They were very loose. It could have been a 6-1 game, the number of giveaways. Liverpool simply weren't clinical enough.
Yeah, if Luis, he directly was contributing to a lot of the downfall of this team. If he doesn't blatantly try and take Salah's shirt, if he waited to the end of the match to ask for his shirt, they wouldn't have been an issue. Because what would have happened is, on the third goal, he could have just clipped his ankle and just brought him down at the halfway line.
Yep.
But he couldn't, or else he'd be off the field.
He'd been sent off.
Those two events happening in occurrence led to both of those goals happening, and that's why Arsenal inevitably went down 3-0 and were in a hole too deep to dig out of.
Well, and Luis says that Salah said after the match he didn't even feel his shirt being pulled. May or not be true. It was clear and obvious, and you simply can't do it. It was. But again, here's the quote from @UnitedDom. David Luiz has really grabbed this game by the scruff of Salah's shirt.
Yeah, that was
This is
the
why
downside.
we love Twitter. And then did it cross the line? Did it cross? David Luiz's halftime rating is how to become a clown in less than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But again, Liverpool weren't without fault. They weren't clinical enough in the first half with a lot of the opportunities they had, with as loose and fast as Arsenal were playing with the ball at the back. But then this quote on Matip running like he doesn't want his phone to fall out of his pocket.
Quick to correct that Aubameyang was the one actually in his pocket, and it was fascinating. One of the best chances of the game for Arsenal was a ball that slipped in behind for Aubameyang, and he's in the box pretty much by himself, and he takes so long to start his shot that Matip just zooms in there and just clears it out. It's pretty amazing.
Twitter couldn't get to the joke fast enough. There were 1,000 of these that like the entire 10 men for Aubameyang were in Matip's pocket. But
Arsenal, not the worst performance they've had they've had, but it could have been better, especially considering that they were not dominated, and that's honestly improvement. You don't want to be dominated, obviously, but it's improvement from where you have been in recent years. So you have to take it where it comes.
3-1 to Liverpool, onto this mid-table battle, air quotes, around Norwich and Chelsea. I was wrong. Jack got the result correct. It was a 3-1 finish to Chelsea, and all driven by the youth at Chelsea.
Exactly, yeah. They were phenomenal. I mean, this is going to be the story of the season. I think that your prediction may be right. They may fall out of the top 6, but it will not be without a lot of youth development. Mason Mount, Pulisic, and Abraham will be 3 of the most paramount guys for that. And that's just positive for the club as a whole. I mean, you can develop them and then sell them for more funds. You can develop them into first-team players. And you can develop them into the leaders of your squad. That's positives for Chelsea. This year, they got their first win. Big for Lampard to get that under his belt, especially against the Norwich side, who aren't performing poorly by any stretch of the imagination.
No, they did well. And to that note, again, Timu Pucky doing amazing things. He's the only guy, 5 goals in their first 3 matches since. I mean, it's insane statistic that he's scoring at that rate, and against the clubs that he's doing it against. I mean,
he's doing it. He did it against Liverpool. He had a hat trick against Newcastle, and he added another one as well as an assist against Chelsea, obviously. And overall, he's just been doing very, very well. And I mean, it's just positive to see. I mean, nothing more you can say about it, honestly.
No, I mean we talked about Chelsea's offense. They're going to have to outscore their defense. It harkens back to Liverpool from a couple of seasons ago, where they're going to concede a lot of goals, but they're probably going to score a lot. But again, a guy like Buendia, who I don't know, is there a better player name in all of world football than Good Day in Spanish, Buendia? But they're not super disciplined in between the lines.
Yeah.
And a guy like him can get the ball, work it, and Pukki knows how to play off those guys' shoulders.
Yeah, what you saw from Liverpool is they not only added talent in Matip and Van Dijk, and Gomez has developed eventually. They also had better structure back there as well. And that was the biggest thing, is that you could have all the talent you want. You could have a back four that has the best players in the world of football. But if they aren't organized well and they don't know positionally where to be, they're not taught that, it's all for naught. Because defending is one of those things where if you're making tackles at the last ditch, you're doing something wrong. And that's why you got to be more proactive in your positioning and your defensive abilities. That's what Chelsea lack right now, and teams like Liverpool have developed a better ability in that over the past couple of years.
And then Chelsea preseason versus Chelsea first 3 league games, they don't look like the same side. You know, one a fearsome animated dragon and one a pixelated, not so fearsome animated dragon.
I mean, I don't think that the fearsome was what you felt in preseason, but you did not feel a side that was struggling as much as Chelsea are, especially defensively. I think, Luis, you're seen to be a great agent for your club over at Arsenal, but it's still a downside that you lost a guy like him, because he would have been probably one of the first choice guys, to be honest. I think that they haven't shown enough defensive stability to prove otherwise.
All right, final match. We picked the Friday Night Lights match, Villa home to Everton. Got the scoreline here correct. Nobody was more surprised about that than me. But again, it was exciting to see the match, see them back playing under the lights at Villa Park. And I think this telling quote here from Jota saying, we have brought a lot of guys in, but the squad is really, really gelling together very, very well. And they were excited to get their first win. And it's
that's
evidence.
a big deal for them.
Yeah.
Because last year, we saw the tale of 2 big spending sides. We've already talked about this multiple times. Is Fulham versus Wolves. One gelled, one did not. But both had a really expensive, talented squad. They have the expensive, talented squad. If they can gel together like Jota is saying that they're doing, that's just really positive for the future of this club.
And again, the quote here from Karen Carney, BBC Live, saying, hey, Jack Grealish knew what was up. She knew Everton were not set up properly, got the ball where it needed to be, but then Jota, understanding, Bernard's movement, somehow he knew what was going to happen and slotted that ball perfectly for that first goal. And again, that chemistry comes from just understanding one another and a lot of quality time on the pitch, but in the training pitch. But they just they have been a little bit inconsistent. But again, in that match against Everton, and again, Everton's setup has a lot to do with that. But Jack Grealish, very, very excited coming out of that match to not have lost 21 consecutive defeats. So he said, thank goodness.
That's a crazy stat, to be honest. I mean, 1,500 days, that's a long time. But now it's over for him, and now he's ready to move forward in the positive
move
direction.
on. Exactly. Mings played great.
He's been fantastic, honestly. I think that in the very first game against Spurs, he was one of their standout performers, and he's just continued to be very good. I doubted him a little bit. I was saying that this is not a great fee for a guy with his little experience, but, I mean, as the tweet says, England call-up might be on the horizon for him. He's been performing that well for both Bournemouth and now for Villa.
And lastly here, the quote from Silva, this is filed under water, is wet. We didn't score, and when you do that, it is difficult to win a football match. Coming in, not having conceded, and then give up 2 and don't put any in yourself.
Exactly. They did not play well. I mean, Villa obviously played to their strengths and won the match out of their dominance, but Everton did themselves no favors throughout that game at all.
I don't understand his selection. Leaving 2 new signings, Moise Keane and Alex Iwobi out of the side, brought them in late where they weren't able to influence the match. Everton had it well in hand and had sat back at that point. I question his. He may be my pick to be the first manager sacked in the Premier League. I don't know.
They've spent a lot of money. If they aren't able to perform soon, he could be on the hot seat, 100%.
Apropos of nothing, just thought we'd bring this up. This was some wonderful banter. United made an innocent mistake, tagging the wrong match as they were leading up to the home game against Crystal Palace.
Not a big mistake. It happens.
Accidentally putting in, Man United Chelsea instead of Man United Crystal Palace. But then decided to say, well, we wish we were playing Chelsea again, though. And then Chelsea tweeted back a few hours later, how'd it go?
It did not go well is the answer to that question.
For United. And we'll touch on that here in a second. And then Palace themselves couldn't leave it alone and had to jump in and say, yeah, we're sure you do. So quality banter between the three sides. That's where Twitter is good, and here's where Twitter is not so good.
Exactly.
Follow up on our initial conversation around what happened to Paul Pogba and the racial abuse he was subjected to on Twitter after Patricio made his penalty save. Twitter comes out and says, we're working hard on this. We will meet with you, and we will do something about this.
Yeah.
Very next week, Rashford comes on. If Pogba's didn't push his penalty far left enough, Rashford pushed his too far left, clanged off the post, and immediately the Twitter trolls do what Twitter trolls and got disgusting.
I mean, here's the thing, is I saw one perspective that I thought was kind of interesting with the penalty situation. It's gotten out of hand. It's gotten way beyond just the confines of the football pitch, which is the most disappointing thing to see. And what people said is, as captain, Pogba could have seen the confidence Rashford had in the penalty a week before, given it to him. If he scores that one, I think it's reasonable to believe that he would have scored that penalty against Palace if there wasn't all of this extra drama and all of this extra baggage around the penalty situation in Manchester. And that's just been the disappointing truth, that it's become so intertwined and it's just become such a mucky situation that it's tough even for Twitter to deal with.
Yeah. Well, I think Martial went and got the ball, gave it to Rashford, almost protecting it from Pogba, which I don't quite understand, right?
Yeah.
But the Rob Harris here, at Rob Harris, he flagged 4 different posts within seconds of the Rashford miss, and we looked at them, we saw them right away, and within seconds, the one account had already been banned or had taken down or been deleted, whatever Twitter did, but eventually 3 of the 4 were gone. It's not 4 of the 4, and they've got to figure out how to police this, but Pogba did come out and say, look, this is going to make me stronger. But the point is, it shouldn't have to make him stronger.
Yeah,
right? It shouldn't exist in the first place. It's football. It's a penalty shot. Grow up, Twitter. I mean, and again, these people are hiding behind anonymity. The people are saying they're bots. Doesn't matter. And there was some conversation on Match of the Day or is it being taken seriously enough? This is not a simple solution, other than people growing up, which is what they should do. But Chelsea have joined the chorus of saying, we want to sit down with Twitter also. So we'll see where this goes. Hopefully in the right direction.
Of course. Yeah.
Lastly, we did talk a little bit about Nuno leading into the weekend. Mostly the beard envy. But they did have 3 matches in 7 days. The 2 draws in the Premier League around the vital away win to Torino in the Europa League. They've got the reverse fixture this Thursday. All doing that with 21 players registered in their squad.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of rotation, the amount of fitness required to consistently do these results, because obviously they are 3 draws from 3 in the Premier League. Not where you want to be, but considering what's stacked up against them, it's not been easy at all, and it's been really remarkable that they've been able to tread water almost and stay undefeated.
I mean, Leicester, United are tough matches. Burnley, they looked flat, honestly, against Burnley. They needed a 97th minute penalty from Raul Jimenez to take the point.
And we're going to see a really interesting match against Everton this coming weekend, because that's going to be another huge one. They also have 3 away goals, obviously, as you already mentioned, against Torino. Going to want to hope to get into the group stages of the Europa League, and not only the finances, but just the prestige that comes from being in a European competition and what grows from that.
and they'll have some. They'll have the international break. You know, they won't have Europa League for until late September or maybe early October. I'm not sure when that picks up again.
Late
should they
September.
get through against Torino?
Yeah.
So they'll have some time to chill out. They do have the break of not having to play in the League Cup because they're involved in Europe. So they don't pick up League Cup until round 3 in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So they do get the benefit of that, but they're going to need those 3 points, I think, against Everton. They're going to need them more than Everton will.
They will, 100%.
I think. But, all right, that does it. We will come back with a preview of Week 4. But again, I appreciate it. Jack appreciates it. For Jack, this is Conrad, and this has been the 45. Give us a like, a subscribe, some commentary, please. We appreciate it. Take care now.